I'm a Messianic Jew, and it's wonderful to meet you.
Great.
That's God's doing. So it's wonderful to meet brothers and sisters in the Lord. So before we get started, let's ask, what do you guys know about the tabernacle?
You can find it in the Old Testament.
Yeah? Do you know where in the Old Testament?
In Exodus?
Exodus, what chapter? At least starting in what chapter?
25.
Very good. Yes. Exodus starts in Exodus 25 and it goes on for 10 or 12 chapters. So the tabernacle, let's go back a little bit first. The Israelites were slaves in Egypt, right, for 400 years. And God brought them out of Egypt. And what happened after that? All was good and happy and fun? No, not at all. They had to wander the desert for 400 years. And during those 400 years, God,
40
Thank you.
They were enslaved for 400.
They were enslaved for 400.
Felt like it was
And then they had to wander for...
If they said if God told them 400, though. There's no way.
I caught the fish and it was this big.
Yeah. Thank you for the correction. Yes, they wandered the desert for 40 years. And during those 40 years, God commanded them to build the tabernacle, which was used as like the temple before the temple, right? You know about the temple built by Solomon? This is what existed before Solomon's temple. This lasted much longer than both the first and second temples combined. It was the only one that was not destroyed by an enemy, and it was the only one that God gave all the instructions to build. You see, God did not give any instructions how to build the first or second temples like he did with the tabernacle. And the instructions that he gave were very, very precise. All the precise measurements and dimensions and details and everything. Today, we use measurements of meters or centimeters, or Americans, we use feet and inches. But back then in the Bible, they used a measurement of length called a cubit. So who knows how much a cubit is?
Like 1.5.
Exactly.
Elbow to
Elbow to the tip of your finger. So right about 18 inches or so. So this model, this replica, is built to scale based on the actual sizes that are written in the Bible in the book of Exodus. And you can, again, find all of this in studying in Exodus 25. There's actually multiple descriptions of the tabernacle, at least two. There's the instructions that we read about that God gave to Moses, and then there's the descriptions of how they actually made it, which gives a few more details that God did not give. So when the Israelites left Egypt, they took with them lots of precious metals like gold and silver and copper that were all used to build the tabernacle. But the main material was wood. Not just any wood, they used wood from a tree called acacia. Have any of you ever seen an acacia tree before?
On the way here.
There's one right here behind you. So you can see here the acacia tree. Today it's a protected tree, so we ask that you don't pick it. For some reason it's the only tree that shrinks over time because people keep picking it. So you can see it's a very crooked and very thorny tree. So why would God tell Moses and the Israelites to build the tabernacle out of such an ugly and crooked tree?
They didn't have a lot of choices.
It was pretty much the only tree around. All these palm trees that you see here, these are not native to this environment. It was really the only tree available. And for practical reasons, it's a very durable and relatively lightweight wood. But if you think about the spiritual meaning of the tree and of the tabernacle and everything, and that's what I like to focus on. Beyond the history and logistics of the tabernacle, I like to focus on the spiritual symbolism of it all. So the tree represents us. It represents me and you and you and you, and it represents our sinful nature. But God takes us, crooked, sinful people like the tree, and He transforms us. He turns us into something beautiful from something ugly. He straightens us out like the Israelites did with the acacia tree, and then ultimately dwells in us just as He dwelt in the tabernacle. The primary purpose of the tabernacle was to be a dwelling place for the Lord to dwell in and among His people. And that symbolizes how God dwells in our hearts today. So let's go on in.
Great.